growing tension, though, of the reality of the situation. Now, a senior Israeli official told Channel 12 here that a new round of fighting could last, quote-unquote, days to weeks. And the wide understanding is that the negotiations with Iran have gone nowhere and are going nowhere. But the final decision is expected to come from President Trump. And returning from China, President Trump rejected Iran's latest proposal and warned Tehran that it would either, quote, make a deal or be decimated, close quote. U.S. officials say that multiple military options have been put before the president, including a new wave of heavy strikes, targeting even deeper layers of Iran's strategic infrastructure. Other options under discussion involve U.S. special ops taking control of key positions inside Iran, potentially to capture oil facilities and the highly enriched uranium, allegedly buried at a site near Isfahan. Now, the Pentagon says more than 50,000 U.S. troops, 2 aircraft carrier fleets, and many strategic aircraft do remain deployed across the region, ready to resume operations if ordered. Now, closer to home here, the Israel Defense Force confirmed that it killed Izzadin al-Haddad. He was the current Hamas leader in Gaza, and the chief of the terror group's military wing. In a precision airstrike in Gaza City, the Israeli military described him as one of the architects of the brutal October 7th massacre, and he was taken out in Gaza City's relatively affluent Rimal neighborhood, what remains of it. Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu, Defense Minister Katz, said the slain terror chief was one of the last remaining planners of the October 7th invasion, and he played a central role in the abduction and captivity of Israelis throughout the war. Haddad took over as Hamas commander in Gaza after Mohammed Sinwar was killed in 2025 and had been working to rebuild the group's military capabilities and plan new attacks against Israel. Now, he was apparently nearly impossible to eliminate earlier in the war, always surrounded himself with Israeli hostages. Israel says that strike was intended to send a clear message that there will be no respite for those responsible for October 7th and the launching of this war, especially as Hamas is now in violation of the current ceasefire, important to mention, refusing to disarm, to step aside politically, or to relinquish their remaining pockets of territory, all required under the framework of the internationally brokered UN-backed ceasefire and rehabilitation plan for Gaza that, again, they agreed to. But tensions are escalating again on Israel's northern front as the IDF launched a major wave of airstrikes over the last day against some 100 Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon, following drone attacks, cross-border fire into Israel, and the death of an IDF soldier on the front again yesterday, over the weekend. The IDF did announce the deaths of 2 combat soldiers killed in action in southern Lebanon. This was 20-year-old Staff Sergeant Negev Dagan and 24-year-old Captain Maoz Israel Aganati. Serving on the front lines, both of them, they were hit by Hezbollah drone fire. Now, 7 Israeli soldiers have been killed in action since the ostensible ceasefire was announced over a month ago, as the IDF continues to seek and destroy their terror apparatus there. Now, Israel said the drone strikes by Hezbollah have represented a quote-unquote blatant violation of the ceasefire understandings with the group, but diplomacy is ongoing between Jerusalem and the non-Hezbollah parties in Beirut. The United States announced, along those lines, a 45-day extension of the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon, following a third round of high-level talks between the Israeli and Lebanese officials in Washington. Over the last days, the announcement came from the U.S. State Department. After 2 days of negotiations that were aimed at reducing tensions along the Israel-Lebanon frontier, Washington has permitted Israel to keep targeting Hezbollah anywhere that they are deemed an immediate threat. And the U.S. State Department spokesman described the talks as quote-unquote highly productive. The U.S. says a new security track within the talks, we should say, will open at the Pentagon later this month. And while political negotiations are set to resume in early June, we'll keep you updated on any and all of those issues. But separately as well, looking at the United States here, where the authorities have charged a senior commander of Iran-backed Iraqi militia with plotting attacks against Jewish targets inside the United States. It's including a prominent synagogue in New York City, what prosecutors describe as a broader Iranian terror campaign. Now, federal prosecutors are saying that the senior commander in Kataib Hezbollah, he was detained in Turkey and transferred to U.S. custody before appearing in the federal court in Manhattan. This is a long journey. They accuse him of helping plan more than 20 attacks already carried out in Europe and Canada since February, all under the guise of sort of organic protest against the Jewish community, when in fact the IRGC has been running.
What's tinnitus and how does it impact daily life?
So tinnitus is essentially buzzing sound or a ringing sound in the ear when there are no other sounds. And it can be really very disturbing for a lot of people. Now globally, 1 out of 10 people are impacted with tinnitus. It can disturb your mood, your focus, your working, and at advanced stages, it can be really very, very harmful. Now the good news is that we can provide solution to mask this problem. We have 250 odd centers across India where we can treat this, and we can give free test to check and correct this through our advanced hearing aids.
मैं सिर्फ 3 घंटा आपसे मांग रहा हूं। इस 3 घंटे के अंदर मैं आपको एडवांस एक्सेल के फॉर्मूलाज के साथ एआई और चैट जीपीटी हैंड्स ऑन प्रैक्टिस के साथ सिखा दूंगा। तो एक हाई पेइंग सैलरी के लिए, बहुत बड़े प्रमोशन के लिए आपको आना चाहिए एडवांस एक्सेल के साथ एआई और चैट जीपीटी का सही इस्तेमाल करना। लेकिन 10 में से 9 लोगों को पता ही नहीं है कि एडवांस एक्सेल के साथ एआई और चैट जीपीटी को कैसे यूज किया जाए। आपकी इस मुश्किल को आसान करने जा रहा हूं। मैं सिर्फ 3 घंटा आपसे मांग रहा हूं। इस 3 घंटे के अंदर मैं आपको एडवांस एक्सेल के फॉर्मूलाज के साथ एआई और चैट जीपीटी हैंड्स ऑन प्रैक्टिस के साथ सिखा दूंगा। इस स्किल को सीखने के बाद आप बड़े से बड़े डेटा को चुटकी बजाते ही मैनेज कर सकते हो, क्योंकि आपके बदले काम करेगा एआई और सैलरी और प्रमोशन मिलेगा आपको। इस 3 घंटे के वर्कशॉप में आपकी सोचने का तरीका, रिपोर्ट्स बनाने का तरीका, फॉर्मूला यूज करने का तरीका टोटल आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के हिसाब से चेंज हो जाएगा। हेलो दोस्तों, मेरा नाम है राज सिंह। मैं एक माइक्रोसॉफ्ट सर्टिफाइड ट्रेनर हूँ। पिछले 16 सालों से मैंने 300 से भी ज्यादा कंपनीज को ट्रेन किया है। 1-2 कंपनी की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, 300 से ज्यादा। और अगर आप लोगों की बात करोगे तो मैंने 5 लाख से भी ज्यादा लोगों को पढ़ाने के बाद ये ऑनलाइन वर्कशॉप आपके सामने लेकर आया हूँ। ये कोई ऑर्डिनरी वर्कशॉप नहीं है कि ऐसे ही कोई भी पढ़ा रहा है। यहाँ पर पूरा एक्सपीरियंस के साथ मैं आपको प्रैक्टिस शीट दूंगा, आप उसे डाउनलोड करोगे। मैं एक फॉर्मूला आपको पढ़ाऊंगा, आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे। दूसरा फॉर्मूला पढ़ाऊंगा, प्रैक्टिस करोगे। पिवट टेबल पढ़ाऊंगा, आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे। डैशबोर्ड पढ़ाऊंगा, आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे। मेरे साथ आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे। 3 घंटे के अंदर आपको A to Z चीजें आनी ही आनी है। सर फीस नहीं बताया, फीस कितनी है? वैसे तो नॉर्मली दोस्तों इसकी जो फीस है 2999 है, मतलब 3000 के आसपास। लेकिन अगर आप इसे अभी ज्वाइन करते हो, स्पेशली आपके लिए एक लिमिटेड ऑफर है यहाँ पर 199 रुपीज, 200 रुपए में भी 1 रुपए दो। आप 200 रुपए के अंदर ये सारी चीज जो मैंने आपको बोली हैं आप सीखोगे हैंड्स ऑन प्रैक्टिस के साथ। मैं आपको इनवाइट करता हूँ, नीचे दिए गए लिंक पे अभी क्लिक करो। दोस्तों अभी नहीं तो कभी नहीं, हो सकता है कि ये वीडियो काफी लोग देख रहे हों और वो इसे ज्वाइन कर लें और आपसे पीछे हो और आपसे आगे निकल जाए। तो सच में करियर में सीरियस हो, एआई चैट जीपीटी सीखना चाहते हो, एक बार खुद के ऊपर इन्वेस्टमेंट करो। नीचे दिए गए लिंक पे क्लिक करो और मैं राज सिंह आप लोगों को वेलकम करता हूँ अपने इस वर्कशॉप के अंदर।
Been running many of them, while also he's been directing plots targeting Americans and Jewish sites in the United States going forward. The U.S. officials say this case represents one of the highest level arrests of an Iran-linked IRGC operative since the current war began. With all that to discuss, we are joined now by Brigadier General in the IDF Reserves. He's Relik Shafir. He's a former Air Force Base commander and a popular face on the airwaves here, really on all channels. Relik, an honor to have you with us. You and I have spoken many times, and good to have you back. Obviously, in this moment, a lot taking place. I want to start, I don't know if starting at the end and looking back, but let's talk about the Lebanon front right now. In light of more soldiers being killed there in recent days, it appears the army is holding strong in this area. 7 soldiers killed since the ceasefire in just over a month, but many more civilians, I would argue, might have been in harm's way, or would have been in harm's way in northern Israel if not for the army's deployment in these areas in southern Lebanon. So Hezbollah appearing to do all they can to derail the peace with Beirut, or at least the efforts to make peace. Are you encouraged, though, by the ongoing diplomacy that we saw even in the last few days?
I think this has to do a lot more with Iran than with Lebanon this time because the Lebanese are helping the Iranians keep pressure on the United States and Israel so that the Straits of Hormuz stalemate will not continue. And so they are agitating Israel and pushing Israel to push the United States to move. And that works for the Iranians. And since these are the proxies, then this is all part of their greater, I would say, strategy. Now, this has to do with Iran, and maybe we'll talk about that later. But in Lebanon, they're keeping a low profile of what they feel is a below breaking the ceasefire harassment. So, and that is actually what is happening because the United States has asked for 45 more days of ceasefire, which means that they agreed that this is a ceasefire, these harassments. So this has to be coordinated between Israel and the United States. And these are difficult times because we don't have an answer to these drones, and we're suffering day by day. So it's a time that we want to go into action, or at least the military wants to go into action, but it can't do so in a more than a limited way because of the whole picture, diplomatic and picture with Iraq.
And we saw that in the proposals, put back from the IRGC to President Trump, where Lebanon and Hezbollah being left alone and left intact was one of their major, talking points and preconditions. So that priority, for the Iranian regime, clear that this terror proxy in Lebanon is still something they're trying to cling to. Look, on Lebanon, though, and we hear about the solutions, let's call it that are being put forward for how this can go and what they may be talking about with Beirut. Let's talk of the Lebanese armed forces, quote-unquote third parties. I read that as what a UN peacekeeping force. It's hard to know what third parties we could be talking about. Could be moved into the vacated IDF ground in southern Lebanon, but hard to accept. I mean, is the ground, quite literally just not ready even for that concept yet?
I think it's not ready because let's play the game and say that some different force other than the Hezbollah comes in. If it's the Lebanese army, well, the Lebanese army is comprised of at least 50% Shia soldiers who have a double allegiance both to the military and to Hezbollah. So obviously